Do you struggle with staying organized? Well, you're in luck because today we are going to talk about the B side of organizing here on Get Organized with Jodi. Hi, I'm Jodi Granock. I'm a certified professional organizer with over 15 years in the field. And it's not just about getting organized, it's about staying organized. And if that's something you struggle with, you might want to check out our playlist that talks about maintenance when you get organized, how to stay that way. So, what do I mean by the B side of organizing? Well, it has two meanings. The B refers to the flip side of organizing, which is about maintaining your newly organized space. So we have the organizing initially, and then the B side is how we keep it that way. But the B can also stand for boundary limit. So once you choose your container to house certain items, whether that container is a shelf, a bin, or a basket, that container becomes a boundary limit that helps you maintain an organized area. So, for example, you could have a bookcase and you have mystery novels on one shelf, and you have biographies on another shelf, and you have something else on a third shelf. If your mystery shelf is full and you buy some more mystery books, it's not that you need to get a second bookcase, it's that it's time to reevaluate what you see in your mystery section on the bookcase. So I'm going to give you three other examples of the B side of organizing. Let's start with shoes. You can have the most beautiful, perfect shoe rack in the world, but once it's full, that's your boundary limit. And when new items don't fit on the rack, it's time to subtract. And the problem is when it looks cute, you might take a glance at it and say, oh no, I'm wearing all these shoes. I really love all these shoes. But I'm going to challenge you to look at them one by one and really ask yourself, am I still wearing these shoes? So let's look. Pretend you're my client. This is your shoe rack. And I'm like, all right, just tell me about these shoes. And you're like, yep, I wear these. I wear these. Oh, you know what? I bought this pair for a specific outfit and I don't have that outfit anymore. So I don't need this pair of shoes. Okay, boom, those shoes are gone. And then you're looking some more. Yep, I wear these, I wear these. Oh, this was like this fad and everybody had this design on things and I don't really care for it anymore. So I don't need these shoes anymore. Okay, those are gone. And you're looking some more. Yes, I wear these, I wear these, I wear these. Oh, this one, I can't wear them for more than 2 minutes and they start really hurting my big toe. Okay, well, you don't have to keep those either. And we're looking at more shoes and we're saying, yep, I wear these, I wear these. Oh, this pair, the heel's been broken for like 5 years and I keep saying I'm going to get it fixed and I never have. Okay, so we've just subtracted 4 pairs of shoes to make room. So when you make these observations and you make these decisions, you can donate a few pairs that no longer matter to you. Now you're making room for new shoes and you are maintaining your beautiful shoe rack. Let's do another example. Magazine subscriptions. Oh my goodness, I see this a lot when I work with clients. Reading should be a treat, not a chore. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a client's house and seen a huge stack of reading material, and the client will look at me sheepishly and say, I know, I have to get caught up on my reading. Well, I don't know anyone who's going to take vacation time from work, for example, to catch up on their reading. When it feels like a burden, that's not the right solution. So what you need to do is use your boundary limit. The boundary limit for magazines is based on the frequency of each type of magazine or periodical. So it doesn't matter if it's a weekly magazine or a daily newspaper or a monthly magazine or even a quarterly periodical. Whatever your subscription is, if you can't finish one before the next one arrives, it's time to rethink whether you want to keep that subscription. So when I work with clients who have this large stack of reading material, we go over to a table or the floor and we sort out all the magazines, all the periodicals, all the newspapers by the type, and we look. And when a client sees, let's say they have a weekly magazine and they've got 30 of them, they're very behind by several months. So it can be an eye-opening experience, but not nearly the eye-opening experience as when you do something about it. What are you going to do about it? Well, you start calling the numbers. They don't make it easy to find, but there are phone numbers within these publications that tell you how to unsubscribe. And when you unsubscribe from a subscription, they will refund the money that was still left on the subscription. And this is where the eye-opening part can come in. This happened to me even. Have you ever gotten notices about renewing your subscription? Did you ever think that maybe they were fudging on those a little bit? I sure didn't. I just assumed whenever I would get a postcard saying it's time to renew, that that meant my subscription was almost up. But no, they're trying to extend your subscription and get you to pay in a lot. And one time I finally realized there's a code on my magazine and it had the expiration date of my subscription on it. And I was 2 or 3 years ahead paying into this subscription. So, with that in mind, when you go to cancel a subscription, you could have a very positive eye-opening experience. I've had several clients that canceled a lot of subscriptions and made back hundreds of dollars. Something to think about. One more example about the B side of organizing. If you have children at home, artwork can be a real burden to keep up with. The key to a successful artwork collection is to create a defined space to display it. Remember, we have a boundary, right? So instead of artwork being everywhere, create an art space. You can have a bulletin board. You can have a clothesline strewn across a wall. You could say it's the magnet with all, not the magnet, the refrigerator with the magnets, and that's pretty old school when I was growing up. But once you've defined what the storage space is, now you have the B. You have the built-in boundary limit. So if your child brings home a new drawing and the wall is full, you can let them choose which art piece is ready to be quote unquote retired. Take a hint from your child and recognize that if everything is special, nothing is special. But if you're really struggling to let the piece go that your child chose, just snap a photo of it first. Smartphones, as I've mentioned on previous videos, are a great organizational tool. We can save things digitally, they don't take up the physical space. So we can apply this artwork example to other things with our children, such as when they love Legos and they have so many creations of Legos and you're running out of places to put their creations. You could designate a shelf in a bookcase and say, okay, this is your display for your Legos. And again, when it's full, it's time to let some retire and go back to being pieces that they can play with. So, with this knowledge in mind, I think that all of us can improve our organizing A game by knowing about the B side of organizing. What are you ready to B side today? I encourage you to leave messages for me in the chat and let me know how boundary limits have helped you stay organized. I encourage you to visit organizingmagic.com for more organizing resources, including our free e-newsletter and information about our monthly Zoom webinars, which are also free. And remember that new videos drop every Friday, so be in the know and click like and subscribe before you go so you never miss a single video. I'll see you next time.